And we're back. Some more oxygen not included on our little aquatic lair here. But first things first, there's been some changes to the game. The first and most noticeable being they've changed how these interplanetary payloads land. You can see they actually have a little bit of a re-entry shell on them, and as well as that, they seem to slow up. They show up and then just sort of slow down the moment they hit atmosphere. However, once they hit water, yeah, they slow down even more. Though they still keep that absolutely baller animation. That is excellent. Well, it will be until they hit the ground. They even do a little impact thing when they crater out. Come on. Well, I suppose they go so slowly through water. Oh, it's slowed that down a bit. You can see them hit. Perfect. I love the way they even bounce. Well, that gets us our petroleum. I've been doing a little bit of reinforcement on our liquid locks here when I sent over some petroleum. There was some queries as to how I'm so confident with the nuclear waste keeping all of that water pressure from destroying us. Well, because we didn't have a choice. But now that we've got a little bit of petroleum here, we're going to double lock it. We're going to have one petroleum blob here, one nuclear waste blob here, and that should make sure that our liquid locks, if one fails, the other one will kick in. I'm really worried about the nuclear waste because if its temperature goes below 26.9 degrees, it would freeze solid and then the whole base would flood with water. Would be awkward, just a little bit. Anyway, next up today, we are going to be ripping all of this out and turning it into bristle blossoms. Oh, and we also have to do one thing first, though. We have to seal off the top here, and then we have to extract all of this water. To do that, we're going to need a bunch of power, and our nuclear reactor is, of course, actually online properly now. It's even up to 150 degrees in here, so we can get useful amounts of temperature out of it. It provides all the power for this base, though we're not really using that much at the moment. But first up, we are going to put ourselves in another liquid lock here. We're going to need some way to access this once we seal off the top so we can scoop out all the water. Now that we have this liquid lock here, the whole reason for that is when we seal this in across the top here, we can start scooping out this water. We need to remove all this water so we have enough room for our bristle blossom farm. If we want to drain this ocean, lake, whatever you want to call it, in a reasonable time frame, we're going to need to do about 10 kilos of water per second, which means 300 bristle blossoms. We're going to need a lot of space for that. So I figure we pump all the water out of here and dump it into storage tanks. The storage tanks won't add to the overall mass of this, so it won't push it up any higher. Plus, it would if we pushed it up any higher, it's just going to get dumped into the background of space. Yeah, so we're kind of stuck dumping it into storage tanks. Those will act as tanks we can draw upon anyway for no power requirements. Another suggestion for our underground lair was to keep it as much of the natural terrain as possible. That's going to be a little bit difficult with what we're doing, but I figure we can leave some of this top stuff here. That nice rough underground cave look you got for, you know, like a James Bond villain style thing. Well, that's the theory. We'll see how much gets actually left behind once we start building this sucker up. For now, we're just going to do a few key cuts here and there so that we can force the water through. We want to make sure that all the water from this side can also go across this. Oh god, there's so much pressure in here. Yeah, I think we may need a few extra storage tanks. This could take a while. I suppose we can always double down and put in more water pumps. We definitely now have the power necessary to run multiple things. I am so glad we put in that nuclear power plant. It's just going to make power production so much more simplified. It is very quickly becoming clear we do not have enough storage space for this. Probably, yeah, okay, I underestimated the size of this lake quite a bit. It's very compressed. And even though we've got 3 liquid pumps here pulling out water as quickly as we can, it still hasn't even gone down to 1,000 kilos. It's mostly still overpressurized. Oh, also it broke through in another area and we had to break it up. So we're just going to keep chucking down as many liquid tanks as it takes to store all this. Each one of these can store 5 tons of water, and it's barely making a dent in this sucker. All the tiles we're putting them on, though, are water tiles or mesh tiles. So we're not actually displacing any water in doing this. This is going to take a little bit of time. And while that's going on, we're going to start work on how we're going to put in the bristle blossoms. I have an idea for a farm layout here, though we do need... This is going to be a atmosuit-free base for the duplicants that are going to be living down here. They're technically going to be trapped. They won't be able to get out of here because there'll be water everywhere. But that means they're going to be breathing out carbon dioxide, which means we're going to need a sort of CO2 pit over here. So we need to raise this up just a little bit. We're going to have to get the bristle blossoms level here. So we may have to do a little bit of adjustments to get this to work right. We're almost finished here, but we will need to make some modifications to this. This is more a preliminary, but let's just have a quick watch. There's something about those interplanetary payloads falling like bullets out of the sky in slow motion. That's That's normal speed, double speed. Well, I'm not sure triple speed will work very well. But dear lord, look at them go. I love the little animation at the end though, where they kind of just hop off the ground, bounce, and then spin. Good job, Clay. Good job. Also, we're still getting the odd one that's falling all the way down here. No complaints on this end. It seems to hit within about 2 tiles of wherever you place the, the targeting beacon. Works perfectly. Now, we do have one weird thing going on here. I think the water on this side is somehow pushing its way down and over here and escaping into the vacuum of space, because the water level over here seems to be dropping. Look, it's going down. Why is it going down? It shouldn't be going down. This over here is remaining stable, but it might just be that it's pushing water up here. Oh, I don't know. I think once it gets down below this, we should be fine. It's just a very weird physics thing going on with the water. As for down this section, well, the water has finally got to the point where we're actually draining it out. There's not even 1,000 kilos of water in those tiles. There is over here. We've gotten to the point where we've actually chucked away enough water. And by that I mean we've filled a lot of water tanks. And that's just taken the high pressure water out. We haven't even started on just removing the water. We're going to need more space. I had to ship over 20 tons of gold amalgam just to build the water tanks, and we're running out of gold amalgam. We're down to 5.7 tons. Okay, true, we're using a bunch of it down here for the plants. Alright, now, when it comes to making plants and bristle blossoms, you do need to give them light, which leads you to, well, I think everyone kind of goes down the same territory with this one. The first one is you go with these ceiling lamps. Now, the thing is, these works actually pretty good if you have 4-tile high ceilings. You can get in about 7 plants under one of these, but we're trying to cram in as many as we can, so if we do that, we can only fit in about 5 per light. So then what you switch to is these things, these lamps. These lamps here are actually, okay, you're going to lose a little bit of space in terms of, you're going to have to rip out one, you can't place a plant where this one goes down because you're placing it on the ceiling. But if you lower this down 1 tile, it'll get 4 plants to the right and 4 plants to the left, meaning you get 8 plants. This is pretty much the same way everyone ends up. However, what I wanted to do first was just put this in to see exactly where's the most convenient place to do them, because we're going to have to drop this down 1 tile, which means we're going to have to place the one below it, the lamp on the exact same tile below it, just to maximize productivity. So I'm thinking we'll keep it in line with that lump of neutronium there. Yeah, that's sort of the annoying one. Yeah, right there. So this will be the furthest most edge, which means 4 tiles to the right of that. We'll deconstruct this sucker here, and we'll chuck in a lamp. And then we'll just base our entire build across that. So every single lamp we place and every plant we plant will be based off this 1 tile right about there. As well as that, it does mean that things are going to fall through that gap, so let's just see if any CO2 comes along. Remember, our people will be breathing out that CO2 can slip through that gap and fall down to the lower levels. Eventually it'll all slide over here, and we'll put in a CO2 scrubber at that section. Yeah, let's do a few modifications here, and hopefully we can get this water out fast enough to get this up and running. While this is going on, I've been doing the numbers, and the numbers don't look great. Okay, so that's 8, 16, 24, 32, and plus 8 on 4 on each end, so that's 40. So it takes about 40 per row. Now, if we just average that out, and we need 300 of them, we need about 8 actual floors of this. So, say 1, 2 floors, 3 floors, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put that one about there, 6, 7, and 8. So we're going to need all of this area, literally all of it. We can't really keep any natural tiles because we've sort of destroyed everything. 1, 2, 3. Actually, we can keep those natural tiles there, and those natural tiles there, and there. But everything below this, it's got to go, I'm afraid. Bit unfortunate. I was hoping to keep a little bit of the natural environment just to make it look more organic, but tough. It's all got to go. Let me do... Oh, and as well as that, when it comes to these liquid tanks up here, I had to deconstruct them. It drops the 5 tons of water on the ground in a water bottle, just because we can't... We just don't have enough storage. I'd have to keep building over here, and it just... No, I don't want to contaminate the top of this too much, because I want to... Well, what I'd really like to do is put a monument, say, about here. One of those big statue monuments, but not of one of the regular ones. I want to get, like, you know, an evil villain-style monument. I was thinking, you know, Aku. Get Aku.
The shape-shifting master of darkness.
This seems like the type of base he would own. And just have a big one right there. I can just sort of picture it. It would look awesome. And then as the water goes down, it would go by. In fact, if anyone knows any modders who know how to do that, I would be interested. I don't know what the copyright thing on that is, getting a thing of Aku, but Even if it's just something I could put in just for one episode, it would be really nice. But hopes and wishes aside, we just gotta, well, drain this area and build in all of the necessary equipment. While we are waiting for this to finish, there is something that has come up over here, and that is the nuclear reactor is about to kick in. What's happened over here is the temperature down here is too low. It's gone below 180 degrees. We have to keep the big steam cloud in here about 180. That means that the steam turbines have heat to work with. So that's sending its signal up here going, yeah, we need more heat. And the timer is about to come around to that 10 seconds out of every 600. And if we check here, yeah, that's about to hit on, and when it does, that will turn on this auto sweeper, and that auto sweeper is going to pull 10 kilos of uranium and dump it into the research reactor. Once that happens, we'll start getting heat, well, more heat dumped into the system, and boom. Alright, done. Now, after the 10 seconds expire, the automation on, one second, the automation over here will switch this back on, and that grabs the enriched uranium out of there and tops back up the storage tank so that if we ever need to do a top up later, there's 10 kilos waiting for this auto sweeper again. This auto sweeper currently off. Just the way the system was designed. It works quite nicely. Now that we have the uranium in there, it's rapidly heating up the water. Once it's 400 degrees, it's dumped down here and it starts cranking up the temperature in this section. Oh, it's already hit 180, which means... Oh no, still on. This heat here is going to run... This whole thing is going to run for 1 day now. One full cycle of steam, this emitting steam. So the temperature in here is going to start rising. Now, how high it rises, I'm not too sure just yet, but it should stay below the 200 C mark. If it stays below the 200 C mark, that means we've done it just right. We're not wasting any power. If it goes above 200 C, maybe we've messed up a bit, but we can always add in more steam. Up until, well, this thing will overpressurize at 100 kilos, so you want to keep it below that. So say we could stick in another 30 or 40 kilos of steam in there, and this whole thing would act as one giant steam battery in between dumping in uranium. Now, over here, we've made a few changes with the batteries. We have 3 batteries here set up, and they go, hey, if the power goes to 60, turn on. These are set to, oh yeah, sorry. So these batteries go, if the power hits 60 in the batteries, turn on until the power is at 90. And this turns on the steam turbines to draw power. This smart battery over here, this is our emergency supply that's hooked up to the coal generators. So if the coal is required, oh, it's switching on now. If coal is required, those will switch on, but at much lower thresholds. And that's it. The whole system just works that way. Let's just skip this forward till the end of this rotation. Where is it? Yeah, it's got some time to go. But we'll cut back in when that's ready, and we'll see what temperature we've got in the steam room. All the way around we've gone. We're going to be coming around to the same point again in about 9 seconds. And if we check down here, the temperature sensor is hitting 190 C, or 191. So the nuclear waste, everything, we're draining all the heat out of everything down here. We're dumping it into the surrounding steam. Now you'll notice that some of the steam over here, like the ones far away, are 180. That's because that's the old steam. The fresh steam coming out of here is now about 190, and that will slowly drift in here under these steam turbines. But this means no more uranium will be added to it on this rotation. And because no uranium's added, there we go. This thing runs out and switches off. Done. And now that's off, no more heat's going to be added to the system until the temperature drops down. So all of this steam is acting like a giant heat battery that we can draw upon for energy as we need it, and that way we're not constantly running the reactor. Because if we were constantly running it, we'd need 9 steam turbines minimum to take care of it. And this just allows us to miniaturize everything and make it a sort of a more on-demand system. It's not perfect. The downsides are, of course, you can't, like 180 is where it's going to hit, but it could go down as low as 170 if it's drawing power. Like just say this is at 181 degrees. And it comes around to the time to feed uranium and it goes, no, we don't need any because it's 181 degrees. Then you have to go through a whole day depending on that 180 degree steam, which will slowly get cooler and cooler, meaning you might hit 170, 175, which will decrease the amount of power you're able to generate. Just something to be aware of. But as long as you know its limitations, it does allow you to squeeze in an enormous amount of power into a very small amount of mass. That 5.2 tons of uranium is going to last us a really, really long time. All right, where were we? Ah, yes, and it will run an awful lot of lights. While we wait for the last of this water to go, it's taking its time. We have enough water tanks. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Down here, we're going to sweep up. And by sweep up, I mean we're not going to do it manually this time around. That's just far too much time and effort. Instead, we're going to get in some auto sweepers. These auto sweepers are going to be left here because they're going to be what's going to be picking up all the crops afterwards. So all we're going to do is have them feed into automatic dispensers. And then we'll just daisy chain them all the way along until it gets to the end, well, to about there. Then we'll pick them up from that section. It's shorter and easier to do it this way than doing it any other way. Oh, didn't think about it. We'll do it one row at a time. The power draw on this is going to be quite high, and because all of them will be operating at the same time. So let's just make sure we get them done one row each. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes for each row to complete. Once it's done, all we do is this is going to be our infinite storage over there. We'll copy it to this section. We'll remove the sweep only, and then we'll just copy it all the way along. And then if we've done that right, yeah, we're just gonna yoink yoink all the way around until we get to this section. And this is just going to start getting piled up with gunk. What are we up to? We've got granite and abyssalite only. Oh, come on. It's about 1,000 kilos per operation. Is that it? God, it's going to take a while. All right. Let's get the next layers done up so that we can plug them in when the time comes. We have almost drained this out. Seriously, that took so long. Oh, well. It's fine, it's fine. Now over here we've got our liquid lock, our very interesting liquid lock. Let's bring up the liquid overlays. So we've got the nuclear waste on one side that prevents the water from pushing through no matter how high the pressure is. We've got the petroleum on the other side, also stopping the water from pushing through no matter how high the pressure is. However, if we were to, say, mop that, let's make that a high priority command, what should happen is this water in the middle, which is compressed, that's 1.8 tiles of water in each one of those, should just sort of shoot out that side. And it's just cancel that, and yeah, the water just boop forces its way over the edge, and the pressure should drop to about 1,000 kgs. Done. Nice, and that is exactly what we had configured there. Now, if we've done that right, what should happen is once this evens out, we can mop up the nuclear waste, and this thing should just sort of even out. There'll be there's 2,000 kilos here, so you can divide that by 7. Say we'll have about 700 kilos there. Divided by 7. Anyway. Almost done, and I've even left in a little bit of rock. There we go. See, I left in some natural tiles. People complain I don't leave in natural tiles. There we go. We've got 3 of them right there, and I'm probably going to leave in a few across here too. It'll be almost like a cave, I'm telling you. There's some of the final steps to go in. Unfortunately, not all of them. The conveyor loaders here, 100 kilos of raw ore per tile. We're going to have to ship over, for each layer, about 13 tons of ores. Oops. So, yeah, we're going to have to ship over a little bit more before we can finish this off completely. For the time being, I do need to figure out if you can launch from underwater, interplanetary launchers. But no, we have a couple of things to check up on today that we did in previous episodes, and we want to see how they're actually working out. One of them is this planet, where we were trying to convert these to the BAM lilies to lice lilies. Yeah, it's a good thing we went with the fish. This is a very, very slow process. You'll see Ralph here. Ralph has been at this for a while. His agriculture is up to level 11. He started on 0. He's got 11. 11 is a base skill now. His science also started on 1. It's now up to 5. And the reason it's up to 5 is from all of the seeds they have been researching. Let's see. Yes, as you can see, 5 wildish, 4 specialized, 4 leafy, 9 blooming, exuberant, easygoing, bountiful, juicy fruits. Whole bunch of seeds. They're still not quite able to keep up with everything, but they're getting faster and faster all the time. Now, seeds-wise, oh my god, it produces so many seeds. If you check over here, we have 1,166 seeds. Yep, and we've got another 200 in each one of these feeders, meaning these fish are very well fed. They have all the seeds they could ever possibly want to keep eating. And that's just the breeder tank. This breeder tank holds 4 fish at any one time. Over here we have our stable tank where all of the fish eggs get sent over, where they just keep reproducing for infinity, and you can actually see their little mirage there. There's 96 of them. There is 96 fish in there that just keep reproducing indefinitely. That's a lot of fish. In fact, there is a little bit of pacu fillet going up there right now. It'll speed up though as we go along. We're only up to 99. Jeez. And over here we have 12 eggs that have been laid over there so far. So we're doing well. We're doing well on the fish front. This guy's working out quite nicely. We did a little bit of a reroute of their oxygen. Their oxygen now goes straight up into this large gas canister, which is now full of slime lung germs, unfortunately. But on the bright side, it comes back down here and gets filtered through these 2 tanks first, where it's encased in chlorine, prevents any problems, and then it gets sent over here to get into the atmosuit docks and the rest of the base. So no slime lung outbreaks. Seems to be working. However, this guy is set up so that every time he finds a seed that's mutated, they take that mutated seed and immediately examine it. That way we're able to have all of these lice lilies planted, or these lycee BAM lilies. These things are actually doing pretty good for themselves. Oh, actually, they just grabbed one there now. They grabbed Ah, yes, an unidentified subspecies right just there now, and then they drag it over here and immediately test it. It's just the only way we could do this conveniently. We don't want the sweepies getting their hands on it. If the sweepies get their hands on the seeds, they'll end up over here, and they could potentially end up in the fish feeders. So they take care of this immediately. They analyze it, and they take a break. Never mind. However, if they do find a lycee, there's several more plots lined out for them. And this is the weird-looking graphic for the lycee bam lilies. It's free food. It's just very slow, very, very, very slow. Trying to get enough of these, it's ludicrous. At the same time, over here we have this fridge and contains. Damn it, wrong thing. Yeah, as you can see, mostly berry sludge is keeping them alive, but they do have some meal lice if they do get hungry for it. Hopefully, by the time the berry sludge runs out, they can just switch entirely to meal lice. I'm confident it'll not be a problem. Back on our home base, well, there's several things going on. The first is down here we have this section. Oh, damn it, I forgot to put in the rails. This here is what we're using to drain heat. It's a conveyor rail system. So the conveyor rails are bringing everything through here. It's still working on refined carbon. Temperature is about, what, 1200 degrees at this end? Which reminds me, we should probably extend that on just a tad more. There we go, all set up. That should get extended by our dupes. Oh, this is where we used to be. This is the radiant gas pipes. This is where the radiant gas pipe section ended, and we have managed to solidify this much more magma. This is a great way to move heat. I mean, you have to notice, we're moving heat all the way from here over to here to boil water. That's a tremendous distance. It's crazy how far we're moving the heat. The temperature over here is up to, it's 854 and 768. This end is, of course, colder because, well, there's a far more limited amount of heat from this end. All working out quite nicely, and our water is boiling as much as we need it, and this is acting as great backup power. And as for our water tank, well, our water tank, damn it, it's full again. Christ. Okay, we're going to have to extend the water tank. The only way we can really go now is down, so we're going to have to chop out this entire section. Oh, God. Okay, that's for later. We can't do that just this moment. We're going to lose some water while we're waiting. But that will be where the water tank goes. After that, I'm not even sure how we extend it any further. I suppose we could start making it fatter at the bottom. We could seal things up. I don't know. This much water, I'm not even sure how long it would take us to consume it. Think about it this way. We're building on this planet over here. Watato. This planet is designed to consume 10 kilos of water per second and put them into bristle blossoms. So 10 kilos per second of water, this is what it takes to consume. How big would it need to be to take care of that water tank we've got back there? I don't know, because our water tank definitely contains more water than this. Oh, and we are not finished here, unfortunately. We have a few other things to put in. Namely, the water here is 42.9 degrees. It needs to drop to 30 before it'll be suitable for bristle blossoms. Well, we'll cool the air. We won't cool the water. We'll cool the air around the plants. Unfortunately, we had to use hydroponics tiles here made out of gold amalgam because the thermal conductivity on these is lower. It's 2. As opposed to the next best was iron ore, which is about 4. So we need to put in a cooling solution right here, and that cooling solution is going to have to cool down the base. We also need housing for 2 duplicants, all of that stuff, but that's for a later episode. For now, that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck.
Watch out!